as well here for the mathematics, the advanced mathematics that was advertised on the door. No, it wasn't. Okay, come in. Okay, you have to tell me if you can hear me and if it's actually okay. So, I first have to apologize for the backgrounds of my slides as well. So you will notice my voice is going, and the slides have been made up by marketing. So as a university that thrives into the 21st century, we have now a business presentation, and that is the format. So I have to get used to it too, and to be very honest, I just have given them the text and they put it on the slides. So this is a very risky undertaking. So we may be in for a ride on the first one. The other ones I have at the moment to review, so it shouldn't be that drastic in the contrast. Okay, so let's get started from the front. My name is Robert Müller. You can call me Rob, Robbie, Robert. I listen to Robbie, but this is getting ambiguous. You may have to call my name twice, yeah, so it's not official. And when you go into terms like Robbie or Bobby, that is very ambiguous. Yeah? So here you may have to call 3 times or 4 times before I actually react. But nonetheless, here you will get me. Please approach me when you have questions. I've given you as well my phone number, which is kind of ironic because I've just realized that my mailbox is now threefold. So I have actually 3 mailboxes. So depending on where you are, I may not actually get access to your messages. So there's a lot of other issues as well. We come to that in a second. I'm a senior lecturer in project management here. I work largely with postgraduate, with you guys. I'm very much interested as well in research with industry. That is where my second persona comes in for this university. So I work extensively in engineering, manufacturing, and a little bit construction. And have largely looked really recently at funding mechanism for large projects. So very interesting topic, of course. We will cover that as well in one of the lectures, like 10 minutes. That is all my research can contribute to that series from this summer, but never mind. Otherwise, we are now based in the Department of Mathematics and Information Science. Don't worry, not so much mathematics in here, although I'm a huge fan of it, especially when we come to portfolios. If you will work in that area, you will see mathematics is like a wonderful tool to model and as well to play with algorithms. Yeah? Especially if you play towards ratios where you have actually investors that communicate with you. This is the first lecture, really, two lectures, really, that set a little bit the scene. So everything we are covering here, we will cover in a lot more depth in another section. But it sets the scene, and at the end you will know as well what the assessment is, which is normally quite something to take on board. Yeah? Okay, enough from my side. My lecture is supposed to be, I present you, of course, theoretical and practical information. But if you have questions at any point, yeah, don't hesitate to interrupt me. Yeah? So just raise your arm or shout straight, what does that mean? And we look at it further. If you do so, you will realize probably as well, you will be a hero for the others. You know, there's always the first person that breaks their ice. Normally other people have as well the question, so be the brave one and speak up. Otherwise we can take as well questions afterwards. If you don't want to say them in person, you can write them as well on a letter and hand them to the front. That is as well okay. I'm happy to read them out. I have to say, where I got this from is I was on a guest lecture in France, yeah, please join us, in France, and this was hilarious. We had like a discussion, and I had a little bit more hair, and it was longer, and it was to the side. And yeah, so literally the only question that I got on that letter at the end was, when did your hairdresser die? I've tried to commit it now, so yeah. But never mind, it was, I got a question, so I was quite thrilled. My other podium colleagues just got, well, there was one other guy that got a question too, but okay, there you go. Little joke aside, yeah, okay. Okay. I have as well always reading suggestions. There's another thing. We have at the moment a new service. It's a library. And the library arguably has all these references. And I have checked that last week. And the library has basically looked which are our favorite publishers and has reprioritized my reading list, which is an issue with me. Yeah, so I'm working this out. So at the end of tomorrow, you will have the proper reading list on the library, but there's still some work to do. So what I've done is every session, I give you reading recommendations. One is kind of a key book that I've subscribed to. It's Harvey Mader. He's from Cranfield University down the road. He may come actually for a guest talk as well with us. He's a dear friend of mine, and yeah, he has basically written a textbook that covers kind of like all the topics from our from the syllabus that we cover. So just to get an idea, chapter 1 and 2 would be a good read. We have it as well in the library, so we should have actually one copy for each student. Yeah? So there are sufficient numbers. You don't have to buy it. The alternative is to engage with. Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Are these slides online? Or do I have to make a note of them?
Oh yeah, sorry. This is a very good question. So all these slides are online. Having said so, no, actually, yeah, they should be online. Is there anybody that studies in the DL mode here today? Okay, one person. Is there, two. Okay. You will have already everything online, yeah, because it's set up a little bit different. So while the rest of you are on a time release, so you should be able to see this week, next week, and the following week. So you have 2 weeks in advance. You can see everything. Yeah, so check it out. It's on the ELP.
Wasn't on this morning. No. It's not there.
Okay. Then I have to go online. Later on in the seminars, you will see it's all online. Yeah, so it will be all there. The slides, and I have normally a note sheet that we work through in the seminars. And so you can as well prepare reading. So I'm quite aware that you haven't read it yet. This is kind of like backup reading after today's sessions. To make a little bit sense of the history, because we go actually through kind of the history of project management, which is a lot. Yeah? So we do that in 45 minutes. That is ambition. Yeah? And to quickly finish on that, you have as well journals as an alternative, so those you can normally download. You have to log in either via our university website, where we have a library service called Nora, or you can go on the university system, use Scholar, and then pick those out. It's a possibility too. Scholar is actually a little bit faster. It's sad to admit, but it is, yeah. Okay. So this is kind of backup reading, if you want, for the session that we have today. If you have any questions or you're interested in an aspect, curious about something, this is a good starting point. Yeah? Okay. So what is the first session on? The first session is really on the education of project managers of the 21st century. I explain a little bit the syllabus, why we are doing what we are doing. The project body of knowledge is an interesting one. Why is it actually, why should we study it? What is it? That doesn't matter to you as a project manager, and is it fit for purpose? And the last question is actually a big one, because we have currently government incentives where there are certain adjustments, because some of the projects in the past have caused quite a lot imbalance, so we get projects that were very wrong. This is very important to recognize. And then we jump into a history of management of projects, and I tell you a little bit briefly about professional bodies, where they came from, and what their role is in different places and different countries. Yeah? Okay. So, educating the project managers for the 24th century, this is you. You are the elite that will write the new history, that I will then study afterwards. This is always fascinating observation. And we will cover this on the portfolio program and project management part. So this is kind of the governance framework that we will use. So why and what is P3M? Well, first of all, we have to recognize that there are very different programs to this. So, and what I mean by that is when you go into higher education, You're doing with us here an MSc in project management, which is a Master of Science. So it means that you go beyond what is perceived project management standard in industry. Now that is just a start. Beyond that, we recognize at university more than probably in professional courses that you can take, that it's a socially constructed domain. Some even argue it's a discipline. That is actually, when we make a little bit sense of the semantics of a domain and discipline, it's a wonderful topic actually for debate. Is project management a domain or a discipline? Does a project manager belong to engineering? Does he have to have first engineering and then do project management? Is thereby a project manager for engineering? Or is there something generic about it that you can transfer? And the answer is both. Yes. Yeah. So it's a little bit unsatisfying, but nonetheless. Yeah. So and it's as well constructed by you guys. Yeah. When you go out, you write the new history. So you are changing as well as discipline. Yeah. So you have to understand that this is not something written in stone. Hardly anything is, but it's something that is constructed through our social interaction, if you want. Yeah. So. Yeah, with this, the programs as well are differently tailored. Yeah, so you have approaches that are very narrow. They have a specific purpose. They have a framework. And then we have something else. We have actually major projects where we have new dynamics. It takes us out of our idea that project management just sits in engineering or just sits maybe in information technology or construction, you name it. Yeah? So major projects normally are so large that they impact on society, sometimes on whole countries. Yeah? We start normally calling something a major project. This is very UK-driven definition, by the way. In America, and yes, the rest of you would probably say mega project. Major projects normally start when it's 2 billion. And 2 billion you don't just print in the back of your garden. Yeah? So this is normally you have a supply chain and generate value with a production line that is quite extensive. It goes across countries most likely. Yeah? So and there we recognize complexity. Not complicatedness, but complexity. So we have a closer look at that too. And our tools are very simple. Project, this is the interface to actually doing it. Then the program, arguably the part that helps us resourcing the project. The portfolio, that helps us steering the project in the right direction, or the other way around, picking the first project in the first place. So portfolios are strategic tools, and we will have a refined look at it. I can see now that by the way, this is the same slide that is building up, but with the background, this may actually confuse. Yeah, so the next question is now, what is project management? Yeah? So with project management, it's often a post-requirements definition, and what I mean by that, I have actually on the next slide. Oh no, okay. There's a contestedness of the management of projects. So there's a, so what is the difference? Can actually anybody help me here? But in the next slide I will conclude it, but what is project management and why do we actually differentiate this to the management of projects? What's the difference? I take wide guesses, yeah? So I don't expect that you get it completely right. I hope you won't. Otherwise, you'll steal my show. No, just joking. Any ideas?
A single project?
Yeah. So project management here is a sense of yeah, and management of projects is really plural.
Validate which is the most important projects first, prioritize.
Yeah, very good. There's as well a notion that is, here we're getting actually into ontologic experience. Project management is the activa, yeah? You're actually in it. And management of projects, this is like stepping away. You look at how was it? It's a retrospective look. It's contemplative as a Latin or we have Italians here. So you may recognize it straight away. It's thinking about it. They're stepping away and looking what you're doing. And we recognize that you have a huge problem here. Project managers are stuck in the project. It's very difficult to step away and like kind of look objectively at the good options. And even the objective and subject notion are maybe actually worth removing, but that is the idea behind what I try to say. So let's have a look at this. This is one of the methodologies that I use. It comes really from Morris, Pinto, and Söderlund. It's one of the frameworks that kind of ticks the key semantics that are used in project management, and that is why it's really handy. So you start most projects in project management off with you're being given time, a duration, that you have time to complete it, with a given budget, maybe resources, and then you get given a scope as well, sometimes as well quality indicators and product remit. So this is often given, and then you work towards the delivered. That is a very simple notion that kind of was a starting point of projects, if you want. And we recognize as well that there's a hidden life cycle of the project. And if you want, there is a notion of initiation, planning, executing, controlling, and close out. But this is just one process. You will see they're exchangeable. And at the end of this year, you will be able to find the process that is suitable to your project. So there's a reason why we actually look at those sections in more detail. And part of this is, of course, the integration of all these things. Time, cost, scope, risk. Risk, interesting one. We can't sense it. It's something that we kind of make up from past experience and estimations. Then we have people. People and human resources. In projects we neglect that somehow. My research actually indicates from a few years ago, and some of you may have met as well Paul Chan. I'm thinking of the Chalmers. He's very interested in this. He has looked at that with large companies. It's a very strange thing. We actually kind of schedule, plan resources, machines, equipment, but we do not actually consider the readiness of the people involved in the project. So this is something that we can look at in a little bit more detail. But human resources is part, communications, and here thinking as well that when we have to communicate, with whom we have to communicate to actually manage it, then quality, and last but not least, procurement. Those are the settings of the normal project. Are you happy with this so far? Okay. Now, when it comes actually to the management of projects, we have to look a little bit wider. So this is actually the remit where I hope you will go, because there are a few interesting notions. So this is as well where you kind of define the frame of the actual project delivery. So this often sets a frame in which you're delivering, and in which you are deciding as well how to deliver the project. And it's an exciting part. Was exciting too, don't get me wrong. So here we have another big cycle, and here we're talking about something like conception. Where do actually projects come from? So our ideas, our visions, what we try to achieve. Maybe we talk with the market, with invisible hands, as some economists have called it. And we orient our products and services based on what's demanded from the market. Then the conception phase is a very interesting one. This is where the idea is made. Then you have the feasibility, and spots the concept and feasibility are different. So this tells us a lot about the intent, Morris, Pinto, and Söderlund. So they're certainly looking more at design projects here. So once you have the idea, you can make it feasible either way, and then you come to the definition, and here is already the overlap with the project delivery, if you want. Yeah? Execution, close out, and the operations. Yeah? And in the literature, we recognize this more recently with project legacy, where we learn in the project, and legacy of the project. Yeah? So again, a little bit chestnut. What it's actually delivering. Yeah, and along those we have things like strategy and finance. Very interesting. We see now a lot of crowdfunding. Yeah? So a lot of project managers or project portfolio managers, they have enough of banks. They say like, hey, stakeholders, I tell you what, you give me the money, we get a credit, and we don't pay the fees to the bank. How about that? And there are many different ways of doing this. Many smart processes and strategies. And we explore a few of those. It has a lot to do with stakeholder involvement and communication as well. How you have actually access to additional resources that may not actually be written in your portfolio. Yeah? Then we have, of course, technology, requirements, design, the make it and test it. Yeah? Then commercial, supply chain. We have a look at that. It's a very hot topic, especially when economic markets are a little bit indecisive. Then you have, again, procurement risks, and then last but not least, the organizational aspect, be it structure, people, or we really deal with that actually when we come to that in a lot more detail. Yeah. So this is what we are going to do. This is it more or less. This is always an awkward moment in my presentation. We could really stop here, and there's 1.5 hours left. This is awkward, isn't it? No, I'm just joking. But this is what we're covering basically in the next 2 weeks. You have noticed there are a few terminologies missing, so you have here not necessarily the portfolio management in it. And because when you go into industry, you will be confronted with a lot of the commercial approaches to project management, be it like Prince2, be it a lean approach of project management, be it Six Sigma, be it advanced quality enhanced project management, be it Scrum, be it Agile. So there's a whole list. And you will be asked, hey, are you familiar with this methodology? And you should out like, yeah, kindergarten, I can do beyond more and everything. But most people are like, oh, actually, I haven't heard of that particular name. But we have a look of comparison and present to each other what those different commercial methodologies and frameworks actually bring to the table, and how they compare on those elements, of course. And that is as well a little bit why portfolio management and program management is a little bit technical. There's another issue. Last year I had somebody that was already at this point in kind of a dispute with me. He was like, this is not how we manage projects. And this is not a problem. Yeah, so the big question is really, does it matter that we don't agree on something like this? So there are fine nuances. What is a PMO? What does it stand for? Let's do a little bit random vocabulary checking. Yeah, project management office is one. I like this. This is a UK definition. This is a safe one.
Port management office.
Pardon?
Port management office, especially
Port. Oh, I like this. Yeah, so there are other industries. Yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah. Another is officer. Yeah, so especially in America and Australia, officers at the moment quite popular. So when I use those terminologies, be critical. You may experience that you use in your particular company setting a different vocabulary. Yeah? So it's really important that you familiarize yourself with this and realize what's behind it conceptually. Yeah? The other question is, of course, is the domain and discipline fit for purpose? And well, like next week we are talking about space travel, so I suppose the nice anecdote would be a personal one. I think today a wonderful example would be traveling. So is our discipline fit for purpose? If you do compare like our project management and the average performance that we are recording in professional bodies like Project Management Institute, or the Association for Project Management, they locked us, or as well the International Project Management Association, which is the European umbrella. You can compete with your companies. And they go into your books and they ask, hey, how have you performed in the past on your projects? How have, and it's a nasty question, they ask, how have you achieved the initial scope that you set out to do? Now, if you compare this to a normal holiday trip, let's make it simple. We are a small family, yeah, so that's we do a tradition, yeah, so it's mother, father, and then 3 children, yeah. And where do we want to travel? Nice location, I pick any. Disneyland. Which one? Oh, okay. Which one was first? Okay, Paris was first. Okay. Oh, but here are the margins smaller. The effect is not so big then. Actually, that gets ambiguous. How far is Paris away from here? 1,000 kilometers? What's that? 1,000? Yeah, okay. Actually, this is easy for the mathematics. Okay. So we plan to do a trip, yeah, from here, from Newcastle, with our little family, to Disneyland in Paris, yeah. And we put aside 3,000 euros saved, right? For a week. A little expensive. Actually, that is probably on a higher side, isn't it? 1,500. Okay, we go with 3,000. Yeah, just to that is actually the math that I have in my mind. So it will help me. So anyway, they set off. They want to go for this 1 week to Paris. The 2 parents and the 3 children. And how do you think they perform? What is the average performance of our projects for this family? Will they arrive? This is the first question.
Yes, probably.
Yes. So okay, now what is around 300 kilometers around Paris? What is the next nice city? That gets ambiguous, isn't it? Bretagne, or do you go up north? Belgium? Bristol? No? London, okay. Okay, forget about the kilometers. So effectively, with a planned trip to Disneyland in Paris, they are very likely to miss basically the target by 300 kilometers. Land surprisingly in London, yeah. And what's worse is it hasn't costed 3,000, has costed 3,600 pounds, yeah, euro. Sorry. So it has overspent. And you know what's worse? 2 children were left behind. This is the real drama. Yeah. So quite frankly, we have a crisis, yeah? And we don't really talk a lot about it. We talk a little bit about it later in the session. But all I'm saying is we have to look at this. We have to get that right? Your other generation I have a feeling that you will make that right. You don't have to worry. So let's think about it. Educating, maybe a good one. And I have to say that I was as well in an American company, and what means as well? I worked in an American company, and all the stereotypes were sadly true. We had very angry meetings where a lot of shouting was happening for no reason. People were not even upset, they just shouted. That was the normal state of communication. And at that time as well, I worked in South Africa, smoking was still okay. So when you came in the meeting room, you couldn't really see each other. There was, no, you couldn't, but it was a different environment. So I blame that why a lot of the projects went wrong. So you have a key advantage here. And why do I say this? Most of the guys on my table were not educated in project management. They were kind of promoted through the ranks of business administration, engineering. We had as well a few consultancies that were actually working with us. Then we had as well a few, what else did we have? Oh, we had legal people as well that were kind of promoted up to those ranks, where they were actually dealing with the project management. And there was a lot of sense making. This is, we were relying on their people, but a lot of decisions were not in the right remit. I don't think that they had the right tools and techniques to measure it. That was a major issue. And my generation, when I worked, was certainly one of the maybe first or second generation where we were properly trained on project management, where that was perceived to be an issue actually. So here we are, educating. So we do try to actually, this is always a danger. When you give like a topic like this to the university, first thing that they ask is very philosophically, what are the principles of project management? And then they kind of ask strange questions about